having a winning mentality. And it's not because it's State of Origin this week. Okay. But if any of the Blues supporters want to learn anything from today, that's fine. Okay. You can send it to all your friends. Okay. All right. So today we're going to take a look in the Miracle series. We're up to Miracle 18 series. So we're going to take a look at the day the sun and the moon stood still. The day the sun and the moon stood still. Joshua 10:12. Setting the scene. Okay, we've got the Israelites. They're coming to the promised land. They've destroyed Jericho by walking around it. And then and the Hivite people of Gibeon, so these are the bad guys, okay, in the promised land, sent ambassadors to trick the leader of God's movement, Joshua, and the Israelites into making a treaty with them. The Israelites were commanded to destroy all non-Israelites in the land of Canaan, in Palestine, in Deuteronomy 7 and 20. The Gibeonites present themselves as ambassadors from a distant and powerful land. One thing we see here, though, is that they were skilled at the art of winning people over. As Christians, we may have the truth in the Bible, but if you are not good at winning people over, people will not accept it. So often our effectiveness as ministers or as Bible talk leaders, the difference between one person and another is their ability to win people over. So I was studying the Bible with a guy called Jonathan this week, with Jack. And he was British, as I am, and he was a recruiter, as I was. And I brought him into my office full of British things, okay, and we spent an hour talking about Britain, okay, and all those sorts of different things before we got into the Bible. Because you've got to understand that, and Jack was like, I don't know what on earth you're talking about, because he's from Samoa. He said, but I'm happy because you two look like you're having a wonderful time. That's the art of winning people over. He went, wow, we're pretty similar, although we're 30 years apart. Only then can we then get into studying the Bible. So you've got to understand that. If we just study the Bible with people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they don't actually feel like we're friends, a lot of people out there know the truth, but don't want to do it, because everybody they know who has a Bible is not very nice to them. When I was in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, I was with the young interns, Dante and Nixon, and he was going, how can you be effective? And he said, look, I'm out here evangelizing, and I get about 25 numbers every week, but I'm just overwhelmed and I don't know how to be effective. So I started going through the process of exactly how to be effective as you're evangelizing. And I thought if I shared it with him and then I shared it with the church, people were like, oh, I've forgotten that. I thought I'd share it with you. So if I get about 25 numbers a week, literally as I meet somebody on the street, I try and connect with them emotionally. So I try and find something. Are they British? Are they vegetarian? Whatever it is, I'm looking for an emotional connection. Then I get their telephone number. Okay? And then about 3 hours later that day, I then text them and go, hey, say it was about being a vegetarian. Hey, it was really great to meet you, Bob. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about being a vegetarian. In front of every number I get, I put a 1. So I go 1 and then say Fred. Okay? Then if he texts me back, I put a little asterisk by that number 1. Because then I've got an emotional connection with this person. Because if you're here for the first time in evangelism, a lot of people give you false numbers, etc. Okay? Then, the next day, immediately, I call them up. And I start talking about whatever it is we connected over. Okay? And I will meet 25 people like that in a week. And so, as soon as I get an emotional connection with them, I'll put an asterisk and in bracket, whatever it is. So it's like Fred, vegetarian, Fred, blues fan, Fred, whatever it is. Okay? Then, during the week, I do my follow-up from 4 till 6 on a Tuesday to invite people to midweek, from 4 till 6 on a Thursday to bring people to Bible talk, and from 4 till 6 on Saturday to bring them to church, meticulously every week. Within that first week, if I've got 25 numbers, I pretty know who's dead, who's not, who's avoiding me, etc. Okay? And everybody that I've got a connection with, I put an asterisk next to it. Now, these are the people I really work with. The other people, if I have a conversation, you know how sometimes on the street you get a really great conversation and then it doesn't, sort of goes nowhere, but they're friendly or whatever. I then change them to a 2. So in my phone, I have 1s with a star. I have 1s that I haven't got through to, 2s that I have got through to, and then like this. And then if somebody's like, I wasn't that interested, I always go, would you be encouraged if I invited you, say, to, I don't know, an event like a chili cook-off or a Women's Day or a Christmas party? They go, keep in touch with me every 3 months. They then become a 3. So I have a system that I go through. And then those 1s that I keep phoning up and can never get hold of, eventually I'll move them to a 9, and I'll just keep them there, and I'll keep trying to invite them for about 3 months. And then if not, I'll just text them and go, excuse me, I don't want to annoy you. Is this something that you're really interested in? So I actually have a system where I went, that's just amazing. I said, but the people I work with on a daily basis are my 1s with an asterisk. Okay? And then I'm meticulous in my follow-up. So when I was with Jack yesterday, I was just following up the guy that came here. I said last week that I met at the door to come to the chili cook-off next week. But I said, that's how you do it, because he's out there getting all these numbers and not knowing how to process it. Okay? So the other things I did, he asked me some questions he said, I'm not very good at being confrontational. So he said, how am I confrontational? I said, I'll give you easy. Write this down. And I've got these in notes. I said, if you are not confrontational, you want to learn how to be confrontational. It's really easy. You write down what you want to say. Okay? So I say, June, I want to talk to you about your new glasses. I don't like them. Okay? All right? And then when you get with June, you go, I don't want to tell him that because he may be upset. And then I say to June, June, I have something to bring up with you, but I'm so scared I wrote it down and I'm going to read it out to you. June, I don't like your glasses. Okay. He went, wow, that's so simple. I said, most things are when you know. But I know that we're reaching out for the men, the Women's Day. I know you've got 20-odd people to come to Women's Day and everything like that. For the men, we're having a big push this week to invite 100 people. Yeah. Okay, to invite 100 people. So now I've given you the methodology. If you've got your own, use that, okay? If you haven't got any, try mine and you'll find out it's quite effective. All right? So, without consulting God, the Israelites, we're back to the Gibeonites, entered into a covenant or peace treaty with these Gibeonites. Joshua 19:14, it says, the Israelites sampled their provisions but did not inquire of the Lord. You see, sometimes when you're victorious, you can forget about the humility. And it's very, very subtle. As an older man, a Christian of 30 years, it's really, really easy to go, I did that. I know what I'm doing. God isn't interested about whether you know what you're doing. Believe me, he knows better than you about everything. He's interested in your humility. See, let me ask you, what are you not inquiring God of? What is your sin? What does God want you to change? Not what do you want to change. I'm pretty sure what Jesse and Liz said, why are you chasing your dreams? God doesn't say chase your dreams in the Bible, ever. Who should you be dating or liking? I know people fall away and go, I'm falling away because this person in the church doesn't like me and I really like them. Well, they don't have to like you. I'm really sorry, okay, but people don't have to like you. You're meant to be with the person that God wants you to be with. Where should I live? Where should I work? When to do something, go somewhere. Why your heart wants you to do something and would God approve? How should you go about doing something? If you do not inquire of God in everything, you will fail to succeed. I've been reading through the Kings and it goes, this king inquired of God and this king did not inquire of God. It went well with this guy and not well with this guy. Our prayers should be full of questions. And our daily Bible studies should give us the answer to our questions, not simply edify our hearts or our feelings. As often, if you actually ask God those sorts of questions, he will give you an answer that you don't like. You actually need to have a relationship with God that's iron on iron. Too many of us go through our relationship with God and goes, I just want comfort. Well, if you just want comfort, you know what God will give you is comfort. But if you want spiritual growth, Start asking God some questions.
Come on. Come on.
If somebody comes to me and go, bro, I want to know why I'm not succeeding in this. I look at him and go, do you really want to know why? Yeah, really? Because what I'm about to tell you is going to sting you. He goes, maybe not. Is that why you don't have a relationship with God that changes you? It's because you're seeking comfort, not godliness. Are you renowned for seeking advice of God and man? That is the key to success. It's amazing. Those people that baptize underneath me are always those people that ask me the most questions. It's really simple. It's not because of the answers I give them often. It's because God blesses humble people. Proverbs 24:6, surely you need guidance to wage war, and victory is won through many advisors. I doubt that those who are bad at seeking advice of man are good at seeking advice of God, because it's a character issue, a pride and humility issue. I know before my times with Kip, when I get discipled, often I write him a long email the night before, give him all the things and ask him all these questions, which then gives him a day to read it and pray through it and give me advice. Because otherwise it can become an awkward situation. But when you get with your discipler, you should be going, here are all my questions. I've been thinking about this, I've been praying about it, and here are all my questions. Some I just want to check with you, see if I'm on the right path. Some I really haven't got a clue about. But what are your D times like? Do you go in genuinely wanting to change? Yeah. If you don't, then look at your own relationship with God. Do you go into your relationship with God genuinely wanting to change? You know, the Israelites soon found out that the Gibeonites were actually their neighbors, living within 3 days' walk. And Joshua then realized, too late, that he had been deceived. But Joshua kept the letter of his covenant with the Gibeonites. However, to let them live in exchange for servitude. So he said, okay, we won't kill you. However, you need to become the woodcutters and water carriers. And they were basically condemned or cursed to work these trades forever. What is really interesting about the Gibeonites is it was their humility that saved them. They were on the path to destruction, but it was their humility that saved them. They understood they were not on the right side of God and his people. That's why they went. They'd heard their job is to kill us. We are not the Lord's people. I'm scared. Yet they were prepared to do whatever it took, and they were clever about it. They were experts at winning people over. They were prepared to even be hardworking servants in the kingdom of God with no hope of promotion, rather than fight against God's will. Wow, now that's real humility. Psalm 84:10 says, better is one day in the courts, in your courts, than 1,000 elsewhere. I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than dwell in the tents of the wicked. They were like, we just want to be saved. I don't care what our job is in the future. I don't care what I'm going to have to do. I just want to be saved. No entitlement. See, pride always brings conflict and humility brings unity. They were now unified with the people of God. Understand who they were. These were pagan worshippers who now were unified with God's people through humility. Proverbs 13:10, where there is strife, there is pride. But wisdom is found in those who take advice. You know, you have bad relationships, it's always because of pride. And it's always because of your pride. You know, what are the characteristics of a proud versus humble person? Well, a proud person often sees themselves as superior to others. A humble person does not feel that he is superior to others. See, often when you get older, you think you know more. That's no reason for you not to be humble. What I actually find is that the young kids today know far more about things than I do. Because you have the internet, you have all this different type of stuff. And it's a really sad thing that when the young are not humble to the old, and the old are not humble to the young, life goes bad. Yeah. Proud people are resistant and view everybody else as the problem. You know, I was speaking to a guy this week. I said, so how's your week going? Well, this person did this, and this person did this, and this person did this. I said, how's your week going, not their week? Said, when the first things out of your mouth are other people, that's called self-righteousness. Humble people understand their dependence on friends, family, colleagues, and God, and then lean into their support for the good of all. You know, do you have great relationships? With everybody. Well, I've got 3 great friends. With everybody. You know, there's some people that just go, this guy's my best friend. You go, this is not like Chindalo's gone. How many people felt like Chindalo was their best friend? But the truth of it is, Chindalo had loads of best friends. Because Chindalo is humble. It's impossible for him to actually have that many best friends. But when people think you're their best friend, that's because of humility. Proud people put themselves first and always pursue their own agenda, even at the expense of others. 7 symptoms of a prideful heart. Fear. Pride is the root of fear and anxiety, when we refuse to humbly rest in God's sovereign care. Entitlement. Self-sacrifice stems from a humble heart. Entitlement is rooted in a prideful heart. You know, the core of the gospel is not to be entitled to anything. Ingratitude. Our pride hearts say, we are good, that we should get what we want, and if we don't, it's just unfair. I can't believe in the kingdom that I am not recognized for this. Who are you looking for recognition from? Man or God? People-pleasing. Pride is self-worship and self-preservation at all costs. And people-pleasing is a direct result of pride. You don't want to look good. Prayerlessness. Pride deceives ourselves into thinking we can do life on our own. Find me a humble man or a woman, and that's somebody that's always praying. You know, many people go, I'm too busy to have a good quiet time. Martin Luther was renowned for saying, I have so much to do today, I need to pray for 6 hours. He understood the concept of needing God in your life. Hypocrisy. When you're proud, you elevate your status, forgetting the mercy God has shown you. You think you are better and holier than everyone else. And rebellion. Rebellion against God manifesting in itself in resistance towards his word and the spiritual leaders in your life. I want to do it my way. Why? Why do you want to do it your way? I want to do it the right way. And very often the right way is not my way. And you know that if you ask advice. If you think your way is the right way, it's because you don't ask advice. Because if you ask advice, you find out pretty quick that your way is not the only way or the right way. And somebody else. I've found this about leadership. If you can get everybody else's idea to be the one the church wants to follow, no one will ever be critical towards you. Okay, so marriage event this year. I go, where do you all want to go? And they went, we want to go to the beach. So we went to the beach. And everybody was happy. And if they weren't happy, I could have blamed whoever said I want to go to the beach. See, the art of leadership is facilitating what is right, not being the one that is right. Characteristics of a humble person. They are excellent at relationship at all levels, as they truly see others better than themselves. They're genuinely looking to learn from absolutely everyone they connect with. You can learn off anyone. The Bible goes, hey, look at the ant and learn from him. Well, if you can learn from an ant, you can learn from another human being. They make difficult decisions with ease as they're more interested in what is right than being right, as they seek to put others first. They really listen, as they don't come into a situation thinking they are right or being right in their agenda. They speak their minds freely, and they have no problem being corrected if they're wrong, because they have no fear looking bad with each other. People, I don't want to say anything because what if I'm wrong? Well, if you are, we'll correct you. But I don't like that. Oh, so you're proud. You know, silent people are often the proudest because they just don't want to look bad. Humble people are completely transparent with their lives, thoughts, sins, finances, problems, as they fear God and are secure in God. I remember Sean going, man, Brandon, he's just always confessing his sin. Just on phone, and the phone goes again. Now there's going to be another half an hour of Brandon confessing his sin. Brandon's had his issues over the years, but they've been discipled out of it because he's always open. Humble people take challenges well and change quickly as they focus on pleasing God and not man, taking full responsibility for their sin, even if others help them to be tempted. Well, it was that person's fault. If they had done that, I would have done this. That is not taking responsibility at all. Not at all. They ask lots and lots of help and advice. They never think they've arrived and are truly in touch with how much they don't know. I remember Albert Einstein was watched once why he believes in God by an atheist. And he said to the atheist, well, how much knowledge do you think man knows? 10%? He went, not even 10%. He said, well, even if it is 10%, don't you think there is room in the other 90% for God? See, if you want to succeed with God, you must be supremely humble. As 1 Peter 5:1 says, all of you, clothe yourself with humility towards one another, because God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. So here we have Gibeonites, unspiritual people that understand a spiritual principle more than those in God's kingdom. Could that be said of us as a church today? That there are non-Christians out there that understand God more in their humility than we do. God is not interested in your capability. He's interested in your humbleability. That's a new word right there. Wasn't even in my notes. Okay. All right, point 1. Always embrace the battle.
Let's go. Come on.
Joshua 10.
Let's go.
Now, Adonai-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had taken Ai and totally destroyed it, doing to Ai and its king as he had done to Jericho and its king, and that the people of Gibeon had made a peace treaty with Israel and had become their allies. He and his people were very much alarmed at this, because Gibeon was an important city, like one of the royal cities. It was larger than Ai, and all its men were good fighters. So Adonai-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, appealed to Honham, king of Hebron, Piram, king of Jerumath, Japhia, king of Lachish, and Dibber, king of Eglon. Come up and help me attack Gibeon, he said, because it has made peace with Joshua and the Israelites. Then 5 kings of the Amorites, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, joined forces. They moved up with all their troops and took up positions against Gibeon and attacked it. The Gibeonites sent word to Joshua in the camp of Gilgal, do not abandon your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us. Help us, because all the Amorite kings from the hill countries have joined forces against us. Humility always attracts enemies. Nothing irks Satan more than humility. Yet we must not give in to fear and back down from being humble. Where Satan sees peace, he wants to make war. Humility and unity alarm him. Satan knows if he can bring disunity amongst people, he will win. And it always starts with quiet reservations. I always find that when you have that weird sin of, it's like the sin of weirdness. You know, when you're in, and somebody's, they're not with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. They've been talking to somebody about you. They have. One thing I know about slander, if anybody slanders somebody to me, I know they'll be slandering me to somebody. That's right. Because it's a character issue. Somebody is negative to me about someone, they'll be negative to someone about me. You know, there are so many promises of God based around unity, such as unanswered prayers, feeling loved, having peace in your heart. So you must pursue humility and unity at all costs. Matthew 18:19. Again, truly I tell you that if 2 of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. It goes, if just 2 of you disciples are unified and you pray about something, just 2 of you, I'll answer your prayers. That's how important. Just find one other person in the fellowship and go, we good? Great, let's pray together. So all of it's a bit of a sting if you're married. You know that time, I'll go and have my prayer and just she'll sort herself out because it's obviously her fault. Actually, go back and find out it's your fault and then go and pray. Not saying that's from experience or anything. Okay. Love you, honey. 2 Corinthians 13:11. Finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice, strive for full restoration, encourage one another, be of one mind, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you. Come on. Unity is to be our defining characteristic as true disciples. Amen. John 13:34, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Now, I was told by a brother, said, that Anthony, he's becoming a Christian today. The thing that's really won that guy's heart over is the love of the Parramatta household. I think that's true. Households can breed baptisms or create fallaways. That's true. Unity, such as Jesus and God had. John 17:20. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also that those who believe me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. So we are meant to be as close to one another as Jesus and God. Do you have any quiet reservations with anybody in the church? Things you don't want to bring up with them because you feel like, I don't really want them to know how I feel. I love our shepherding group. Everything's on the table in our shepherding group on Monday night. I mean, everything. Somebody comes in moody, we just go around and we start off with, hey, how's your marriage going? That's how we start. Kerry and I go first. This is a good week, bad week, had a bit of a fight, get discipled, go around. And if somebody goes, yeah, it's good, and we look at them and go. And there's no getting away. We're all friends now. There's no like, that ain't good. Let me ask you that question. How's it going? Then we ask the wives, how's it going? Yeah. But it's great because we know each other now. You can tell when you walk in the door now, it's like, okay, whose turn is it this week? What creates disunity? Resisting God's will in your life. When you are spitting fire about what you do not want to do for the Lord, you will always be hurting those around you. If these kings were willing to give up their worldly dreams and possessions, they could have avoided the violence. The other ones it said, hey, it was a great city, Gibeonites, and they were good warriors. They had to give up being warriors. Can you imagine training all your life to be a great warrior, and now you've got this action, you go, I'm a woodcutter. My dreams have gone. Yeah, but you're saved. But you're saved. Many people who visit the church, they go, I want to become a Christian, but I don't want to give up my dreams. As if you are in control of your dreams. Nobody is in control of your dreams. And all of those people on podcasts who go, follow your dreams, when you actually learn about their life, it's terrible. It's terrible. Their marriages fall apart and stuff. They talk a good talk. But that's it. How many of them do you see with their wife next to them smiling? Where's Peter Jordanson's wife? Where's Anthony Robbins' wife next to him? Where are all these people who spout so much wisdom? Let me tell you, marriage defines you. Show me your wife and your children and that they speak well of you. Then I'll follow your advice. Entitlement. True humility and salvation is found in a complete lack of entitlement. Luke 9:24. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? We often study the Bible with people and they go, I feel like if I become a disciple, I feel like I'm losing my life. You got it. And they're expecting me to go, no, you're not. Don't take it the wrong way. I'll go, you got it. Absolutely, you've lost your life. Gossip, backbiting, slander, venting can all create ripples of disunity. I was talking to Emma. She came back from the Philippine conference, okay? Great. Said, Joe, can I move there? Like this. Yeah, I'm gonna go. One, that tells you it was a great conference, because that is how people should lead. And I said, no. I said, but let me tell you why. You're going to Indonesia, that's a given fact. But you need friends in other world sectors that you can talk to about your people. I said, here's why. I said, if I've got an issue with Jesse, okay, and I phone up Scotty who leads New Zealand, and I vent to him about my negative feelings with Jesse, that's slander. But if I phone up Chris Klopek, who's in America, who hasn't got a clue who Jesse is, I go, mate, can I just talk to you about my friend? I'm feeling frustrated, and he did this, and I did that. That's not slander, because he hasn't got a clue who Jesse is. I could be talking about my dog. But here's the thing. You see, if I speak to Scotty, what happens is the next time he meets Jesse, he has a negative image of him. But I need people in my life completely out of my sphere, because I do need to talk to people, okay? But if they're in my sphere, it then becomes slander and destructive. So you should not be speaking to people in the church about other people. It becomes destructive. You need, and so we all need, that's a great thing about the kingdom. You need relationships completely out of it so you can talk. Obviously, you talk to God first, so that it then doesn't damage people. Because often you talk it out, you go, that's not really how I feel. But if I just went to Scotty and then at the end of it I go, actually, thanks for listening, that's not how I feel. I've taken my poison and I've put it in Scotty. Yeah. Valuing your opinions as truths and trying to force them on others. Philippians 2, verse 3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Not looking down on your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. I was studying the Bible with somebody yesterday with Lennox. And he was going, bro, he was like, you really need to consider this. And this guy wasn't particularly open or very nice. But I thought, you know what? This may be the hand of God speaking to me. So I need to value his opinion. I need to consider it. Because if God can speak through a donkey, he can speak through somebody that's not particularly nice. Are you that sensitive that the word of God and his will may come through somebody else? Or do you go, he's a non-Christian, I'm not listening? You know, weak leadership and obviously poor communication, lack of direction, a lack of focus and expectation. Let's talk about Joshua for a minute. This man had integrity. Joshua 10, verse 7. So Joshua marched up from Gilgal with his entire army, including all the best fighting men. The Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid of them. I've given them into your hand. Not one of them will be able to withstand you. Here we see that despite the Gibeonites lying and tricking Joshua into making a treaty with him, after he gave his word to make a treaty with them, Joshua kept it and came to their rescue. He could have been tempted to pull back from this battle, arrive a little bit late, or make a half-truth for not acting quickly. Yet he embraced this battle, this treaty had brought, even though he may have to fight for unrighteous allies. See, Joshua was focused more on his integrity before God than theirs. Do you let others' lack of integrity erode your integrity? Well, you know, they didn't exactly tell me the truth, and I feel like this is going to cost me some money, and I don't feel good about that. If they told me the truth, I would have come to the party. So you're now letting their sin compromise your integrity. Integrity is found in you doing what you say, keeping your word at all costs. I've been hanging out with Finn a little bit. I love Finn. Finn's just, I know. Maybe it's the Britishness in him, I don't know. But we were going through his Bible talk, and, you know, it's great to see them all be behind him and everything like this. And I really appreciate that humility in that group and that they're baptizing, you know, yesterday in a great way. I said, okay, we're going to talk about doubling your contribution. He said, how much contribution do you give? It was $100 a week. I said, but I thought you had lost your job. He said, I have, but that's what I said before I had a job, and so that's what I'm going to continue to give. I was like, dang. That's integrity. You know, the most common areas of lack of integrity by Christians: missing contribution, lateness, rocking up to church late. I can tell it every week, just look at the back 3 rows. Okay? Not returning emails or calls. We have a 24-hour rule. Businesses have a 24-hour rule. Getting back to people. I can tell you that business deals, when I was in business, are made on your speed of getting back to somebody. They are. I have to check my phone, and there are, you know what it's like, there's WhatsApp and Who's app and Free app and Facebook Marketplace and this and whatever it is. And it takes a long time, but I have to do it continually, when after my quiet time, before I go to bed, etc. Because I deal with people from all around the world. We have Samoa that wake up 2 hours before, and we have, Hong Kong that is 2 hours later and stuff like that. So there's a big time difference. Yeah. But responding to people quickly makes them feel loved. If they feel like you're not getting back to them, well, you're obviously not important to them. Integrity is always tested when there is pressure or hardship, not when there is plenty, not when there's plenty of money, time, or sleep. If you go, I don't have time, or I didn't have time to do that. That's a lie. You didn't make time. You didn't make time. It's as simple as that. Everybody has the same amount of time in a day. There are those that make time, and those that have an excuse that I was too busy. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one else is watching. I was proud of my son. He went to IKEA, and he found $400 on the ground. And so he handed it back into the IKEA. Some of us may have taken that and said, praise Jesus, thank you, Lord. That's called religion. Not righteousness. If you lost that $400, you'd be going, Lord, I hope somebody handed it in. And with the measure you use, it will be used unto you. Our success in leadership is closely related to our integrity, as is our failure or lack of it. Psalm 78:72, and David shepherded them with integrity of heart, with skillful hands he led them. Two defining things about David's leadership: integrity of heart and skill. Skill, you can learn. Integrity of heart is a decision. Never forget, it was a hallmark of Jesus. Mark 12:13. They came to him and said, Teacher, we know that you are a man of integrity. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are, but you teach the way of God in accordance with truth. This was his enemies. They said, even we know you have integrity, Jesus. We may think you're a crackpot, but your story doesn't change. It's the same. There are so many biblical promises around integrity that can motivate us to have integrity. And we've been talking about the promises now in the promised land. Proverbs 10:9, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. Are you an insecure person? Maybe it's because you lack integrity. Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. You go, well, I don't know what to do. Do what's right. But if I do, this will happen. Do what's right. But do what's right. If you have integrity, nothing else matters. And if you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. Integrity gives you real freedom because you have nothing to fear since you have nothing to hide. Before I was a Christian, I'd lie so much, I didn't remember which was a truth and which was a lie. I didn't even know who I was. You start telling a lie at 13. You had a girlfriend called Sue. I never did. And then by the time you're 20, you go, maybe I did have a girlfriend called Sue. Integrity is choosing your thoughts and actions based on how God feels about you, not man or yourself. Integrity is making sure that the things you say and the things you do are all in alignment. No boasting about what you will do and then not coming through it. You know, I know when I first stood up in LA and I said I'm going to run the marathon, I'd never run more than 4 miles. My integrity wasn't at stake then. It was at stake on whether I would do the marathon. Yeah. I know there's a couple of people that said I'll do it with you, and they didn't. And the reason they didn't is because they didn't have integrity. Because they said, yeah, that's a good idea. I like the glory of, I'll do it with Joe. But then they didn't do it. See, do you have a habit of proclaiming you'll do things? Or God will work through me to do this, and then it just doesn't happen. Because, you know, you like the thought of great things happening. But actions speak louder than words. Integrity means that we are trustworthy, dependable, and our character is above reproach. When we say something, it will be done. It gets done no matter the pain or sacrifice to yourself. Yeah. And it starts, students, with you getting your projects in way ahead of time. No posting on Facebook, hey, I actually did it. That's amazing. It should be a given, not a surprise to yourself that you got it in on time. Jesus said he would die on the cross for our sins, and he did. Now that's integrity. Point 2, you've got to expect the impossible. Joshua 10:9. After all night march from Gilgal, Joshua took them by surprise. The Lord threw them into confusion before Israel. So Joshua and the Israelites defeated them completely at Gibeon. Israel pursued them all along the road up to Beth Horon and cut them down all the way to Azak and Madadak. As they fled before Israel on the road down from Beth Horon to Azak, the Lord hurled large hailstones down on them, and more of them died from the hail than were killed by the swords of the Israelites. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Alidon." So the sun stood still and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies, as it is written in the book of Jasher. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. There was never been a day like it before or since, a day when the Lord listened to a human being. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp of Gilgal. You know, here we see the classic characteristics of a complete successful victory. Joshua expected his people to work hard. He pushed them in an all-night march, pursued the enemy until they were all killed, not giving in to tiredness. He wanted no half victories, no reoccurring problem with them. You know, what's your personal schedule like? Do you work hard? I keep saying it, but people, Joe, you keep talking about it. It's because when I actually get with people and I go through their schedule, I go, you still haven't mastered this. You know, this sort of hard work always catches those who lose by surprise. He goes, you know, they marched all night and everybody was surprised. They went, they'll never, march all night. They'll never do that because nobody does that. So Joshua said, you know how to beat them? I'm going to surprise them through my hard work, and you're all going to march through the night with me. You know, losers never think other people will work that hard because it's unrealistic to losers. Extreme hard work is something anyone can do. Do you work really hard? You know, I appreciate all those cranking for the Women's Day. You know, are you doing it? Some of the brothers have outstripped some of your women. Jack's got his cousin coming, all right? And it's the Women's Day. You go, well, I'm waiting for these people to pay, and you haven't been in contact with them for 2 weeks. And you go, well, it's their fault they won't pick up their phone. It's your fault because you haven't figured out they don't want to come. So you've got to go and find somebody else. Don't chase fantasies. It's not too late. We've had people, I remember last year, people were going out that morning of Friday morning and having people come the next day, paying on the spot, on the street. Yeah. Don't work hard until you're tired. Work hard until things are done. You know, we've got to understand, you can always find more time in the day. You know, there was a couple of things that I wanted up in Newcastle, okay, which is like 2 hours drive last night. And I thought, I want to get these. It's a Lord of the Rings frame for Luke, my son. I thought, but I just don't have time to do it. But I said, okay, Alistair wanted to get time, Jack wanted to get time. So we just got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We drove up there and prayed for 2 hours. We had a great brothers, Jack, we saw cows that he's never seen and mists, and it was in the middle of a farm and everything like that. And then we drove back by 9 o'clock. And it was just this really bonding time. There's always time if you want something. You can make time. I was a little bit tired last night, but now I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll always recover. You can be guaranteed on that. Do you see things through to completion? It takes extreme hard work. If you convert people, do you do the follow-up studies? Are you keen about getting contribution ahead of time? With special, have you done it? I want to appreciate the church has really blown it out this year. Now all we have is those people that need integrity. Many people have blown it out. It's just a small list of, you said you would do it, are you going to do it? And I could go, we've hit our goal, forget it. But that's not right. We need to have integrity and make sure people have integrity. I think about people miss. We have a standard where if people miss in your Bible talk, in your sector, you go and see them. Why do I want the shepherds to take along the Bible talk leader or the sector leader? Because you're the most mature people. You're going to have the biggest impact with them. But every time somebody misses, they should be visited. What about your follow-up? Integrity. You said you will invite somebody to church, and you never call them. Yeah. God was with Joshua. It was God who worked to overthrow the enemies into confusion. It was God who killed most of them with hailstones. Do you expect God to do most of the work because you have hit your limit in the amount of hard work? God, I literally have no more time to do this. You have got to step in. Do you expect God to work most of it because you really have that heart to go after things? He blesses those who try and work as hard as him, wholehearted people. 2 Chronicles 16:9, for the eyes of the Lord reigns throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him. You have done a foolish thing, and from now on you will be at war. We don't get strong by doing anything but being committed. Being committed is, man, you are completely and utterly on board. And then God goes, you know what, you're still weak, so I'm going to come and help you. I think about how many people have really gone out there. I appreciate, honestly, I know we commended them last week, but I think they needed more commendation. We were out at Vivid last night. We saw one of the famous balloons in somebody else's hand. But I really want to commit, like, Pete and Paulina have thrown themselves at this. And I really do want to commend you again, Pete. I really do. This is a working man with a working wife, with young children, living out in Parramatta, having to come all the way in. This is somebody that is busy making time to help other people be inspired. Amen. Do you expect God to do the impossible? Joshua did. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky. I don't know what your prayer life's like. I'm really challenged when I see this. God, he just goes, God, flat, let's just deal with them now. Let's just deal with them. Sun stopped still. And the moon. All right? Maybe you figured it out. Does that make sense? And that's where you know those tiny things in the Bible. You know it's all true, because if it was just a myth, you just go, the sun stood still. And then somebody go, hey, but that means the moon. And all these little tiny things. Joshua had a prayer life that produced never before seen miracles. Isn't that the prayer life we want? First, he thought God would do the impossible for him. That's what I love about his relationship with God. There was no insecurity in Joshua going, God, I'm going to ask for this incredible miracle, and I don't know if you'll do it. He just went, God, this is what I want. You will never achieve anything if you actually don't know what you want. Faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you don't see, believing God exists and earnestly going after it, because God will reward it. Hebrews 11:1 and Hebrews 11:6. We can only imagine that his sort of courage and his boldness was due to this really intimate relationship with God. And he was so bold, he went, man, I'm going to just say this in front of everybody. God, do this. And I'm certain you will do it. And it happens immediately. Immediately. Are your prayers achieving the impossible in your life? Are they? Firstly, do you believe God will do the impossible in your life? Jesus told us absolutely nothing is impossible for us if we have biblical faith. Nothing. Matthew 17:20. He replied, because you have so little faith, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. The biggest criticism we receive of the movement is we go, you honestly believe you're going to plant a church in every single nation? We go, yeah, we really do. We just do. Fiji? I think Fiji should be moved up, don't you? And I think Singapore should be moved up. We're a bit bored of waiting. Do you know what I mean? I was just sitting there, they go, why are we waiting? Do you know what I mean? I'm like excited. I'm like, I want to go. Don't you? Like, I'm like, why don't we just move it up? You else want to just, okay. Maybe we send out Tonga in January. Why? Why not? Why not? I mean, you read this and you go, why not? You might just go, should we make the sun stop? Just go, well, why not? And all his mates go, yeah, let's just pray for it. Let's do it. Sounds a bit mad. Yeah, let's do it. Secondly, do you pray sincerely for the impossible in your daily quiet time? If I sat in your quiet time this morning, would it have shocked you? I remember when I was praying with my discipler, and Kerry and I were just married, and I was praying with them, God, I really just pray for twins. There's something I just really want between you and me. And my discipler stopped me mid-prayer. And he went, what the heck are you doing? So what are you doing? I said, it's just one of my dear. Have you told your wife? I said, no. We went home and we were discipled by the married couple. She found out. She wasn't very pleased. And then I remember when we were going for the scan. And the nurse said, wow, this is why you are so big, Kerry. Here's the first one. And I remember we came home. We'd been trying for 2 months. And I remember walking to staff meeting. I said, you're pregnant. I said, I'm stupid. I said, you're pregnant. And we came into the staff meeting, and the couple of the disciples said, she's pregnant. We went down and said, so the women's ministry said, right, we're going to go and get a test. Went and got a test, came back, went, she's pregnant. Do you have a prayer life that moves God's heart? Do you? I think about even non-Christians believe in the impossible. There are non-Christians out there that have greater faith than us. Steve Jobs genuinely believed he could change the world. Somebody invented the internet, thought he could change the world. People have such great imaginations without God. Personal fruit. Are you not inspired by 3 baptisms this week? You're not inspired by the restorations? You're not inspired by what's happening in Samoa, in New Zealand, around the world? I think about, are you not inspired what God has done in this room? People going, what's that flag? He came out and said, Isaac went, what's that flag? I said, that's a Mongolian flag. That's because Naomi was in our church. And she was in Mongolia. And I said, I don't know what that flag, I know what it is now. Are you not inspired by Chindalo? Let's just rephrase here. 6 weeks ago, it was a joke. Hey, let's send Chindalo to Africa. Then it went, yeah, let's send Chindalo to Africa. Then it was like, you're going to Africa. And he came out to me and I'm a bit hurt. We didn't talk about this before. I'm sorry, bro, but I'm going. That's how it starts. I think who you get with and who you don't get with shows your faith and lack of faith. I saw another brother who goes, well, this guy's not getting back to me. And I go, right, we'll go get him. You see, you have to fight for people. Because you've got to fight for people to get them in the kingdom. Because you've got to fight for people once they're actually in the kingdom. Because Satan wants to pull them away. I mean, I've been blown away over my years about some people that have been converted, what God has done. I remember studying, I was a young intern, I remember studying with this guy, John Felix. And I remember doing half of the sin study with him on Thursday night. He was the most arrogant, just horrible, proud, I don't have sin. Literally, I don't sin. And someone decided when I had a study, went, it's not open. He came to Bible talk the next night and went, here's my sin list. I'll never forget it. I just went, what happened? He said, you're right. And Hannah, and he was baptized that Sunday. It was the first time I literally saw somebody turn on a dime. Still remember it there. It's 30 years ago. John Felix. I remember that. It's imprinted in my soul. I go, what somebody says when they leave the study and who they can be within 24 hours blows me away. The longevity. People like Obed, 18 months. There'll be older ones. Ted's coming back this week. I thought, pushing him away would get some realization. I thought, well, that didn't work, so we'll try something else. We'll bring him back. In other words, you just don't give up. He's been coming for 8 years. We're going to get Ted. Okay, all right. Make sure you give him away. I I think about then just open people. Wayne on the street. Elisha goes up and says, hey, do you want to study the Bible? Yes. Okay. Let's do it then. Okay. Yes. All right. Let's move into brother's house. Okay. I spoke to him today. So how's it going? It's great. That Jordan, he's a pretty funny guy, right? I said, yeah, pretty funny guy. And, it's like cool living in a brother's house. It's just like family. Just open people. I think people just walking in the door. A lot of you Liz just came in from the internet. There will be people at Women's Day who turn up. You better be ready to take their money. They'll turn up going, I thought it was free. Do I have to pay? You've got to believe in the impossible. All things are possible, and when God says all, he means all. Mark 20:27, Jesus looked at them and said, so it's like this. Who do I pick up? Wayne. Jesus looked at him and said, with man, this is impossible, but not with God. Wayne, all things are possible. Now that's a discipling time right there. In order for Joshua to take the promised land, he had to believe in the impossible. No one had ever taken the promised land before. We must go where no men have dared to convert before. We must. Grow churches to heights our nations have never seen before. You must raise your faith to what you consider impossible faith. And you've got to do it today. We forget the jokes. Can you remember and go, oh, Elias, you're dating now. Sir Hill, it's your turn. You remember that one? You remember that one? Yeah, bro. Yeah. And you go like, I'll get dating when Elias gets dating. You remember that? Even our jokes are thrown back in our face by God. In short, we must become dreamers. Not chase our dreams, but dreamers. And people who make our dreams come true, not by us chasing them, but by holding on to the promises of God. To have a winning mentality, you must always embrace the battle. Have integrity, no matter how much it costs. You must expect the possible. You can, you must, and we all need to proclaim, I will. Amen.